Hello, hello, good afternoon. It's Monica from Life is Art, and this is the Friday 3:15 p.m. demo at the Art and Artists online crop. And we have been having a lot of fun at the crop so far. At least I have. I hope you have too. And this afternoon we're going to be working on a scrapbooking layout, and I'm calling it Faces So Full of Life, and you'll understand that as we go along. And to get ourselves started, we're going to be using one of the collections from the annual catalog that goes until April next year. And the collection that we're going to be using is called Full of Life. Hint, hint, wink, wink. That might have been where I got the title for my video from. So this is a lovely, bright collection. It's sort of watercolor inspired and beautiful colors and patterns in there. Then we're also going to be using a die set, but just one little piece of it. And it might seem a little odd to you, but I'm using one called Trusty Tools dies. And in here, there's a paintbrush, but there's also this pencil. And I'm going to just be using this one step of the pencil. There's actually two pieces. One that gives you the pencil and one that gives you the color for the pencil. I'm just using that one. And then we're going to be using a couple of stamp sets as well. We're going to be using Love This Moment stamp set, as well as Country Flowers for this layout. So lots of mixing and matching going on. I like to do that. I like to be able to use the things that I purchased in as many ways as I can. And so to do that, mixing and matching really seems to work. Now, for my base page, I'm going to be using a piece of cardstock that, if I can unearth it, it's I kind of have my layout laid out on it. I'm going to be using a piece of blueberry bushel cardstock for this layout, which is a lovely blue, and it is one of the coordinating colors with the Full of Life collection. So I've got a 12 by 12 piece of blueberry bushel. Hey Heather, nice to see you're watching. Anyone else joining me live can say hello or howdy so I know you're here. If you're watching later on replay, you can also leave a comment. Now, when I was looking at the different papers in this 6x6 paper collection, I had a bit of a conundrum. And so I'm going to kind of walk you through my conundrum. I was looking at a few different patterns for the layout that I wanted to do, and I had a difficult time deciding which of these three patterns I wanted to use. And maybe I should introduce you to the photos I'm going to be using on this layout. This is the first one, and it's the largest. And it's a piece of artwork that my daughter created using oil pastels about a year ago, I guess. And so that's the largest photo. So of course it looks good with all of these colors. Then she got really inspired by oil pastels and was doing a lot of creating with them. And so she has created several, probably way more than this, pieces of artwork. And these are just obviously photos of those arts. And so I had all of these that I wanted to include on this layout, sort of her journey through exploration of oil pastels and having fun with them, and faces and shapes. Julia loves eyeballs. That's her favorite thing. But she was kind of branching out into faces and expressions and just sort of mixing and matching things. I think this guy looks a little Picasso-esque, if you ask me. I was asking her what kind of art movement or style she would say this was influenced by, but she said she didn't really know. What did she say? She said something like um, abstract realism, but then she said, no, it's not really realism. So it's sort of abstract-y art of faces, and she has a lot of fun with them. This particular one right here is actually hanging up in my mom and dad's house. So if any of you have been to my mom's retreats, you may have seen that one on the wall. So I've got lots of things. So I had a bit of a time trying to decide which of the patterns I wanted to use because they all actually worked really well. The only issue I had with this one is this one goes into the pinks, and I was going to hide the pinks. But then I also had the issue of my photos are all square or rectangular. And so I thought this was just more squares. So I kind of nixed that one out. I'm just kind of walking you through my thought processes here. And then I kind of liked these two because I like that they're kind of blobby, a little more organic, you know, art material shaped. And I was leaning towards the greens, but there were a lot of greens in the photos, and I thought, you know what, I just want a little more color, a little more vibe going on. So I decided on these ones, the ones that are more red and rusty and yellow, and that's the one that we're going to go with. Now I have trimmed this down a little bit. So this is a 6x6 and this is a 5x6, which gives me 11 and a half inches across, which is kind of what I wanted. And so what I'm going to do is I'm just going to go ahead and stick this down to my layout. Now some of this I probably could have cut out because there's going to be a decent amount of it that's going to be covered, but I decided, what the heck, we'll just use it all. I've already bought 2 sets of this designer series paper because I like it so much. So I think we can get away with, I think we can get away with it. I'm going to start about 3 3/4 inches up from the bottom. Maybe 3.5. We'll go 3.5. And about 1/2 inch in. 1/2 inch in? What did I say? Did I say I had 11.5? 1/4 inch in. There we go. 3.5 inches up, 1/4 inch in, and we're going to stick it down. All right. Now we're going to come in with the other side. And all I really have to do with this one is line it up with the first one because we're basically going straight across. I'm going to have my yellows at the top. Don't worry that it doesn't match in the middle. We're not going to see that part. It's going to be covered, so we're all good. There we go. Alrighty. That's a good start to a page. Then I want to bring in something darker as of matte for my for the smaller photos. And so I decided on the black cardstock. Now I cut this to suit my photos. So it's about 5.5 by 10. If you're going to recreate this layout, then you would just suit it to match your photos. Because that's what I did. I figured out how big my photos were going to be and then added a little extra for edging. All right, now let's stick this down so we're just a little bit, we're at about 5 3/4 of the way across. Like that. Oh, my base page is a little bit shifted. And I'm trying to use the measurements. So we'll fix that a little bit. There we go. 5 3/4. And that looks good. Stick that down like that. Then we can bring in our photos. So I've got, I'm just going to kind of put them on here. See, we've got these 2 guys that have like this is like a teeny tiny little body. See that little guy? You can see his feet and everything. So there's a little teeny tiny body and a great big head. So it's like a weird perspective. This guy is like a wisp. He just kind of goes off into a wisp. And then these guys, this guy's got his shoulders. This guy's got his shoulders down here. And this is just a head with some doodling around him. So I kind of like how that looks. But then I wanted to bring in something to fill in the last space but also leave some room for my daughter to do some journaling. This is going to go into her scrapbook album. I'm just adjusting my light to see if I can get rid of some of that glare. I don't know if I was successful. Not really. Just move the glare. All right. So the last corner, I thought I would try to match this one up here. And so I pulled in some old olive cardstock, which is pretty close for my judgment, especially when you put it way over here. So that's going to be a little journal spot. So to make it a little easier for her to journal, I've got a piece of basic white to go on there. So let's stick that portion together first. Now my photos are all a very odd size because I printed them out and then I trimmed them. And so, you know, I did sort of I guess a McGully. So it's like 2 and almost 5/8 by 3 and almost an 1/8. So that's what I did for my cardstock layer as well, my matting, the old olive, and then my white is a more normal measurement. It's 2 1/4 by 2 3/4. But again, it was just to match my photos. So if you made one, yours would be different again. All right, let's add some adhesive. These ones already have it. Pardon me. And we can start sticking these down. This is always the hardship with adding your photos into your layout early on because you end up with that glare from the shiny photos. The paper is matte, but the photos are shiny. All right, we're leaving just a tiny little hair of the black cardstock showing around the edges. I was smart and I already put the adhesive on all these photos to make our time a little quicker. Here we go. And the next one. And because I did it to suit my photos, if my photos end up a little bit more squished together, I could always trim my matting down. If they get too far apart, though, I can't really add much matting to it. It kind of is what it is. There we go. And it may actually have a little extra matting, but that's okay. And another face. I find faces one of the hardest things to draw. I've done a few of them in my day. And I had a really good teacher at the art studio here in Brampton that helped me do a nice drawing of my eldest. But it wouldn't be my go-to, but my daughter is obsessed. Eyes and faces, she draws them day in and day out, which means she's gotten pretty good at them. Because the more you practice something, the better you get, right? Oh, and of course, I've already stuck that down, but that's okay. We've got a little extra up there. We can sort that out later, but I'll do it off screen. All I do is I take my little, because I haven't, well, you know what? Why don't I just do it now? I'll show you what I do. Because I don't put my adhesive right to the edge, I can take a piece of chipboard and stick it under there like that. And then I can take my ruler. You know, you got to show what you do when you make mistakes. My ruler and my straight edge. Actually, I should do it from the other side so I can see where I'm going. So that chipboard is just under there so I don't cut my base page. And then you just take your straight edge like so and trim it down. Easy peasy. I like having a metal ruler for just that. It's a little shiny in the videos, but it helps when you want to trim something down. Alrighty. So now you've seen my inside peek at how I fix it when I have already stuck something down and I need to trim it a little smaller. So that's my rule of thumb with attaching pieces for the most part, is I don't go right to the edge with my adhesive. That allows you to tuck things under, including chipboard, so that you can trim off extra bits. It works in many ways. All right, our last photo that's going on is this largest one, which I did not put adhesive on yet. So let's do that. You may wonder why I use the Take Your Pick tool to lift that adhesive. I don't always, but I find when I do, or when I don't, that I usually end up with a little bit of a rumple in the paper because I have to bend it a little bit to try and grab the edge. But if you've got it laid down flat and you use that pick tool, then it doesn't do that quite so much. It keeps it nice and flat. All right, now we need to add a little something on there for a title. And because I have not yet purchased an alphabet stamp or something like that from Stampin' Up, I used my, actually I used my phone. I was going to say I used my computer, but I didn't use my computer. I used my phone to type out the words that I wanted for my title. And I actually printed it when I printed my photos, because this photo filled one sheet of photo paper, and then two, and then I had a little extra with one of them. So I did my title, Many Faces, on the leftover bit of the photo paper. Waste not, want not. So I've got this title, Many Faces, and I'm going to leave it as it is, blocky like this, because I think I like the font that I used. I was trying to go with something that sort of matched this sort of blocky look of these two guys. And if you were paying attention to the types of art we're looking at today, I believe one of them is Baja or Bauhaus. I'm not sure how you want to say it. I've always heard it as Baja, and but it's a German word, so it could be Bauhaus. And it's there's actually a Baja typeface, which this isn't that one, but it's very blocky and geometric, and so I was kind of going for that look. So we're going to go ahead and stick our title on there, Many Faces, just like that. And then I want a little bit of embellishment happening on here. I'm not going to do a lot because I want the focus to be my photos. So you remember at the beginning I said I was pulling out the Country Flowers stamp set. And what I did with the Country Flowers is I went ahead and I stamped this bucket. And there's a second stamp that stamps the rim of it. Normally you don't have to do the rim, because if you're putting the flowers or the leaves in there, you don't need to worry about the rim. You're just using the bucket as it is. But I wanted just the bucket, so I used it with the lid, and I stamped it out onto some basic gray and fussy cut it out, even the little notch around the handle. And so this is going to be the little container that holds the oil pastels. And so from the Trusty Tools die, remember I said I was going to be using this pencil die, I went ahead and cut out a whole bunch of oil pastels. So we have a real red, we have a shaded spruce, we have I think that's Summer Splash. So I'm going to put them beside the things that kind of match them, right? So we've got some red, we've got some shaded spruce, we've got some crushed curry. I see some of that in there. See, now I'm challenging myself. This is Pretty in Pink, kind of getting some pinky tones in there. And then we have Pretty Peacock, and also some Cajun craze. So I kind of went by the colors in the photos to help me figure out which color of little pastels I wanted to go inside my can. How fun is that? Or how weird is that? I don't know which. Now, so I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, which is an odd number. Hooray. And so I think 5 of them are going to go into the can. So let me see. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. We'll put these 5 into the can. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to do a little bit of by guess and by golly here. I'm going to add some adhesive to the front of this one, just at the bottom. And we're going to stick it on our little can like that. So it's kind of like it's inside the can, leaning on the edge. So there's one. And then maybe let's add the pretty peacock. And it can be kind of stuck in there along with the red. And then maybe this pink one. We'll have it kind of go in the other direction, like that. More exaggerated sort of angle. Okay, now what I'm going to do is I'm going to add some dimensionals on the back of this. 1, 2, 3, 4. And we're just going to kind of sit it here. Okay. And I'm aiming for it to kind of line up with the bottom of my my title. And then let's also add this one in. But this time I'm going to put the adhesive on the back, like that. And we're going to tuck it in behind. A little bit lower, like that. And then the last one is the crushed curry. And we'll have this one kind of sticking up even higher. Why not? Okay, now we can stick these down. So this page is mostly flat scrapping without too much dimension, but I wanted to add some dimension with my little bucket of pastels. And there we go. Lovely. And then we have these other two, and I thought we could just kind of have them sort of hanging out over here. Maybe like that. Maybe not quite like that. Maybe like that. Okay. Add some glue on here. And I'm using liquid glue for this because A, it's quick and easy, and B, it's very skinny. So I would have to kind of mess around with my tape to get it to work. So there's one. And then, you know, the second one I could put with, I could use some dimensionals for this. I could. Now, I can cut what I have here, or I could use the strip ones, but you know what, I might as well just use what I've got here. So let's just cut a strip. Like so. Peel that off. Look at that. Just the right size. Take our backing off. I think the strips I'd have to cut down anyway, so. There we go. How fun is that? And then I think, and I didn't dig it out. I always have this problem where I don't dig out what bling I want until the last second. And it's down in my drawer. Let's see what we got. I have some shiny ones. I don't know if I want shiny ones. This one has a lot of colors, but I don't know if they're exactly the right colors. This one has a few. Those ones are sparkly. And I also have these guys here, the loose frosted dots. I think I'm leaning towards these ones, or maybe a mix of the two. So these ones here are the 2024 to 2026 in colors, and the Summer Splash that I used is from there, but I've used all the Summer Splash ones. But this would be the Shy Shamrock, or maybe that is the Summer Splash. Perfect. And also the yellow in there would be fine. That's the Peach Pie, and the Pretty in Pink is there. And yeah, that actually might be kind of close to the Blueberry. I don't think it is, but it might be. All right, let's add a few of these just for fun. Let's grab some little dots going on here. We can just kind of mix and match, add some color, just because it's fun to do that. Let's maybe add a few down here. Like that. We can even add maybe one of these pink ones up here, just on the edge. Oops. We're yanking it around. And yeah, I think we'll just stick with the in color ones. Then over here, we could do one of those, and one of those, and maybe one of those. I think I want a couple more up here. So let's grab a yellow, like that, and one of the little pinks. Where do I want to go with it? We're going to trail off. We're going to go off on a tangent. There we go. I think that looks pretty good. That is now the completed layout, featuring the Full of Life collection there in the background, on top of that blueberry bushel background. Then we layered up with a bit of black as our photo mat to kind of tie all of those eclectic artworks together. Then we have sort of our main artwork over here without any matting. So we kind of switched it up there. We added our title down here that's just been printed off, a little bit of the extra old olive, and a spot to do some journaling. Then, of course, using our stamps from the Country Flowers to create our little bucket for our oil pastels, which you don't keep your oil pastels in a bucket, just so you know, you keep them in the thing that they come in, because then they don't get all mangled, or you keep them in a container. And then using the Trusty Tools dies to create our little oil pastels, and then all those fun dots to add just a weensy bit of color. I hope you guys enjoyed seeing this layout come together. I hope you feel inspired to create some artwork of your own, whether it's actual painting or pastels, or creating a scrapbook layout. It's all art. I hope you enjoyed that, And we will be back on at 7 o'clock this evening for Chat and Craft. We'll see you then. Have a great evening. Toodaloo. Bye.